Hey guys, so I got the brand new Cisco 8821 phone in. This is the new wireless phone from Cisco, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an overview of this today. So first I'm going to talk about the phone. I've got a couple of the charging units with me and the base stations. We're going to go over those. And then the last thing I got is they say this thing's supposed to be waterproof, so we're going to test it out. I got a jug of water over here. I don't know, probably about 2 feet of water, and we're going to drop this thing in. So before we get started with going over the accessories, and I'm going to do a close-up of the phone for you guys, let's talk about the phone a little bit. So huge improvement over the last generation of phones Cisco had from the wireless standpoint. So we had the 7921, that kind of turned into the 7925, and then this is the next iteration of that, the 8821. Big thing here is this thing is IP67 compliant. So the 6 means that it is dust tight or hermetically sealed as well. So great for hospital type environments, areas where it's going to get really dusty and dirty. You can wipe this thing off, you're not going to have a problem with it. The 7 in IP67 means that it can be submerged in about a meter of water. And that's where this jug to my right here comes into play. We're going to test it out. We're going to see if that's truly the case. The screen on this thing, we'll zoom in on it a little bit here. It's a 2.5 or 2.4-inch display on this thing here. The phone itself has a Wi-Fi chipset in it of 802.11 ABG, N, and AC. So it's got your 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz chipset built into it. It has Bluetooth 3.0. So if you're going to use this with a wireless headset, you can use any wireless headset you guys want. Cisco does recommend a couple. And this thing also does have background noise filtering or noise cancellation built in. You go into the menu, you turn it on, and it does cancel noise. So if you're in a noisy environment, like a shop floor, like a hospital, there's constant noise going on, you can turn that on and it'll suppress some of that background noise. The bottom here, and you'll see this when I get a little bit closer, has a magnetic USB 2.0 on-the-go connector on the bottom of it. And the weight of this phone, it's only 163 grams. So while it's not heavy by any means, it's also not super light where it feels like it's cheap or anything like that. It's a very well-built and solid phone. The other thing on this, so the battery that comes included on it, it's got about 13 hours of talk time, and it's got about 220 hours of standby time. So that's a little bit of an overview of the device. Let's zoom in here, and I'll take you guys through the phone and some of the buttons and everything on it. So here's a close-up of the 8821 phone. And one of the really cool things that I like that Cisco did with this one is we printed all the letters and the numbers for the buttons underneath the buttons. So the buttons themselves are just pieces of clear plastic, and underneath them is where they did all the letters and the numbers and everything. So that's going to be very useful if you're going to be wiping this phone down a lot. You don't run the risk of ever washing off those letters and those numbers and those symbols or anything because it's all underneath the phone buttons. So we take a look at the front of this device here. I've got my answer call button there, the green phone. I've got my end call button there, the red phone. And above that, I've got 2 soft key buttons. So just depending on what I'm doing at the phone in that particular time, these buttons will do various tasks. In the center is my select button. So it's got a ring around it, up, down, left, and right, and then kind of my enter button in the middle there. So you can see if I zoom in a little bit here, I can press up, and that'll take me to my recent calls, and then it'll do voicemail for me. So if I press up, you can see I can navigate the phone just like that. A little washed out, but you guys get the idea. Hitting the end call button there takes me back out to the main page. And on the phone here, a couple different things that you could see. So along the top, I've got my directory number or my DID, depending on what you guys are publishing down to the phones right there. That's at the top. Next to that is my Wi-Fi status. So if I've got full bars, 2 bars, 1 bar, whatever, that shows up right there. And then I've got my battery indicator next to that. Also on the front and the bottom here, date and time. And then the logo, the Cisco logo right there. So if we take a look at this side first, on here I've got my push to talk button along the top. So if you're using an application like iPreCelerate, you want to do that walkie-talkie style stuff, you just push that in and out, and then you're doing the walkie-talkie with that. Underneath it, that's your volume button. So when you're in a call, the volume up, volume down. When you're not in a call, that raises and lowers the ringer volume there. Underneath that, I've got my mute button. And if we take a look at the other side, I've got my speakerphone button. So if you hold that down, that's how you activate and deactivate the speakerphone on this thing. If I look at the bottom, there's my USB 2.0 magnetic connector right there. Really nice that it's magnetic. You just slide it in the docking station and it charges. You don't have to wiggle it in or anything like that because it's just all magnetic that's in there. On the top of the phone, you can see the status indicator light, green, it's on. It's hitting the Cisco access point that I'm attached to. I've got my speaker, my main speaker along the top there. So when the phone's ringing, that's where the ringtone's coming out of. And next to that, if I pop this open, it's got a little piece of rubber that goes over the top. I'm sure for the IP67 rating, so nothing gets in there. But that's my headset jack. So that's just a 3.5 millimeter headset jack. So if you're not using Bluetooth type headset with this, you can plug in a wired headset directly into this thing. And we'll close that guy back up. On the back, this is where the battery goes. There is a little latch. So in order to get to the battery, I need to slide that latch out of the way, and I need to pry open the back case. And on the back here is actually a rubber gasket that goes all the way around this covering. And I'm sure, again, that's for that IP67 rating, making sure that it's secure. But it gives it a nice tight lock on that battery there. And the battery pops in and out just like really any other battery you've ever seen does. And then to get that back on, you just kind of clip it back in, and it pops back into place like that. So that's an overview of the phone, the buttons and everything. I'll place a quick call into it just so you guys can hear it ring, and I'll hold it on the desk so you guys can hear it vibrate as well. You can see it ringing, call coming in, vibrating pretty loud. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Should have no problem hearing this thing, feeling if it's in your pocket or anywhere on your body. And that's the overview of the phone here. Next, I'm going to take you guys through the base station. A couple different options for the base stations here on how you charge this thing. And then we'll get into the water test. All right, so here are the two different base stations that this thing has. You can get just kind of a one-off USB charger that plugs into the bottom for this thing. I don't have that, but here's the actual base stations that you can get for it. This is your multi-charger, so great if you're going to have a bunch of these things kind of floating around, maybe set up at a nurse's station. At the end of the night or whenever, you can dock these things, they charge, and then you can go in the next day or whenever and pick it up, and you got a fully charged phone. It also has 6 spare battery banks in here, so if you are going to be using this a lot, you can have extra batteries right here, and you're in the middle of a shift, your phone battery dies, you pop out the old one, you pop in the new one, and you're good to go again. The desktop charger, this thing is actually really cool. I like this a lot more than the old one that the 7921 and 25 came with. This one feels a lot more, I guess, enterprise grade, we'll call it. So same thing here. It's got your magnetic connector in it. You just pop the phone in, and it goes ahead and it starts charging automatically. We've got a spare battery bank in the back here as well. So if you are, again, going to be using this a lot, it's your personal phone, maybe you keep an extra battery in the back, and then when this thing is docked, you also have a mute button right here. So if you're going to use this as your primary phone, it's nice that, hey, I can answer calls on here. I got the mute button right there, nice and easy access because the mute button on the phone is on the side here. And then I've got this nice speaker that actually sounds very good. It's got good quality sound that comes out of it. So that's your two desktop charger options here. And like I said before, there's also a third one that's just the little USB one that goes on the bottom there. And again, it's all magnetic. Pop it in, and you're good to go. All right, guys, so it's time for the final test. Let's get this thing submerged in water, and hopefully it still works, but we'll find out. So I'll show you guys real quick here that we do have a working 8821 phone. I'll call it real quick. And it's ringing, vibrating. I'm going to answer it. Hello, hello, hello. You guys can hear You can hear the feedback that the phone's working. I've got another phone right next to me. So you're walking down the hall or whatever, there's a pail of water for whatever reason, there's a pail of water on the floor, and you drop it. Here it goes. And you let it sit for a second. I don't know why you let it sit for a second, but you don't go after it right away. But we say, okay, let's go after it now. Takes you a second to dig it out of all the water. And, okay, it's really wet. The screen still works, still blinking, still has a Wi-Fi connection. I wonder if this thing can even do a call underwater. Maybe we'll test that next, but I don't know what that sounds like. Okay, so let me dry it off a little bit. And, okay, so far so good. The phone looks like it still works, still on, still Wi-Fi connection, still registered to Communication Manager. Let's try calling it again and see what happens. It's ringing, it's vibrating. So far so good. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, it works. Perfect. So I guess it does work. You can submerge it in water, and yeah, works no problem. So for the heck of it, let's throw it in the water again, and we'll try to pick up underwater. I don't know. Seems like fun. It's actually ringing in the water. I'll answer, and that's what a wet phone sounds like. Okay. Take it out of the water. Dry it off a little bit. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Try to get rid of some of that feedback. Test, test, test. All right. Well, it works, guys. I'm gonna end the call there because it's going crazy back and forth. But yeah, no problem working there. You're supposed to be able to drop this thing from 6 feet in the air too on solid concrete, and it's not supposed to break. So maybe next video, maybe we'll give that a try too. But I want to try to keep this a little longer, show it to some other customers before I start throwing it in, trying to break it. So that's your quick overview of the 8821 Wi-Fi phone. Hopefully you guys like my video. Please subscribe to my channel. If you guys have any recommendations on things you want me to test out or try or do, just let me know, and I'll try to get around to making those videos. Thanks a lot.